This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Biotropic Labs. Biotropic Labs is a company that makes its own natural and healthy custom formulated sports supplements. I tried them out. Paul has also tried them. We both like how we feel on them. It dramatically and positively improved our performance, allowing us to train and work out at a much higher level and with much more endurance. His products are built around a blood support and oxygen delivery. To learn more about their products, please visit them on the web at biotropiclabs.com. At checkout, use the promo code UNION10 to receive 10% off your order. Your order is also backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, zero-risk purchase. Again, that's biotropiclabs.com. Use the promo code UNION10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
This episode of the Grappler Union podcast is brought to you by BJJ Tees. Go to bjjtees.com, enter the promo code Grappler Union, and save 10% off all your jiu-jitsu apparel. Go to bjjtees.com today.
This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Strychnine Jiu-Jitsu, makers of vintage-inspired tees, hoodies, and rash guards. Go to strychnine.co, that's STRYCH9.co, and use the promo code UNION at checkout to receive 20% off your online order.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Grappler Union Podcast. Paul Maloney alongside Anthony Zito. On this episode, we have TK Oates in studio. TK is a first-degree black belt under Jay Valko. Enjoy.
I need the 6 minutes. That's what happens in that 6 minutes.
You taught me using any technique that works. Never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
We're not here to take part. We're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
All right, we're live. Here we go. Yeah, so we're SUG. They had women's green belts on.
Submission Underground?
Submission Underground.
SUG, bro.
Yeah, they're only an hour into it, and yeah, I don't know what a green belt is.
So when I
right into this right now.
So when I did judo, it was green belt was like white, orange, yellow, or yellow, orange, and then green. So it was like, and then green was right before brown, and you had 3 levels of brown, and then you got black. So it was like, I don't know, right before brown, I guess.
But for like kids, because they look like young girls.
Yeah, for kids, I have no idea.
I have no idea, right?
Yeah,
That's weird, right?
So
they were in jiu-jitsu. They were in gi, and they had green belts.
Green belts.
Weird.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. See, you do the beginner's class at Mineko's all the time, right? So you're there when kids' class is ending.
Yes.
You should know this.
I've never seen a green belt.
Oh, no?
No. I've seen gray, white. I've seen gray, white, orange, yellow.
Yeah.
You know, but I've never seen a green.
Yeah, see, we started as adults, so I have no idea about the kids' belting system at all.
But I heard that someone was trying to bring back a white blue belt at some point. You ever hear that?
I don't know.
Gracie was trying to bring it in.
Yeah.
No, for adults.
Okay.
It would go, you get your white belt, then you get a white blue before blue.
Right.
They were trying to add a belt.
So instead
in
of like white, 4 stripes, then you get white, blue, blue.
It was literally a whole other belt in between the blue and the white.
White, blue. Maybe it was just like a money grab scheme. Like, hey, we're adding this other belt because we need to, charge you for that other belt.
I think Josh Hinger wrote an article about that on Flow or
something.
Did he? Like it's a money grab. It's just another
way for them to. Which, whatever. I mean, it's a business, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
They were calling it like the Finland belt or something like that because it looks like the Finland flag.
Yeah, that's funny. The Finland belt. Hey, it might stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been against, like people charging for belts.
Are you?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've seen and heard of people. Well, definitely charge for belts, but I've heard people charge for stripes, and I think it's just it's part of jiu-jitsu. Like you do the work you need to do to get the belt.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like an extra $20 to get the belt or something like that.
Right.
It should be because you earned it based on your merit, that kind of thing. So
that's true.
I don't disagree with you on that. However, I do see the business aspect of it. It's a because
pay for your belt, pay for your certificate,
pay for your belts, pay for certificate, and as long as it's done tastefully. Okay, what I mean by that is that you're not getting promoted just to grab that, like, oh, I need an extra $100 this month. I'm going to promote this guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
If it's done in a way where, because let's face it, I don't know any gym owners that are multimillionaires.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a struggle in being a gym owner. And I understand that boost at that twice a year when they have the belt ceremony, that boost of like, if it's $50, $20, whatever it is for the belt, can really help out the gym, whether it's be buying more equipment or whatever it is. I can appreciate the business side of it. Yeah. However, I do agree with you also, like, hey, you earned that belt. I pay my monthly, just give me the belt, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think these, if you look at jiu-jitsu schools basically around the world, I mean, there's no jiu-jitsu school where you're paying less than $100 a month. You know, most jiu-jitsu schools anywhere from, I guess, $100 to probably $300 a month in some places. Right. Yeah. So, if you have a decent student base, I guess the percentage of what they're getting for a belt promotion is such a small, part of their business that I feel like it should just be taken out. It shouldn't be a promotion there shouldn't be any business in promoting somebody at all. Okay. So taking the money out, I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah. But if it's like $20, a belt, what's a belt cost? $10 at wholesale. It's like, $8, $10, $12. You can get a belt on Amazon for cheap. Yeah. So it's like, take the business part out of it and just promote people based on, time on the mat, competition, who you are, how you're doing in class, all that kind of stuff. And, and then there's no question about it. There's no question about, did this guy pay for his belt or anything like that? So,
that's the question that comes up, I'm sure. Like,
how do you like random beltings? Like, at the end of just a regular, like, middle of the week class or something versus at the promotion itself?
I mean, I don't mind. Me personally, I can see both. Me personally, I'd rather get belted at a seminar, but I don't want to know I'm getting belted. Yeah. Or on the podium, because I'm a competitor. Right. So either I get promoted on the podium or I get promoted in a seminar. But random class.
A seminar or?
I mean,
belt promotion.
Belt promotion.
In front of everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Because, at a random class, you train with so many people that are close to you, and there could be that off day where one of your good training partners isn't there to see you. It's kind of a thing, it's a camaraderie. You're together, all your boys, your girls, you're all together. Oh man, it's so great. When it's congratulations. Yeah.
Thing, so. I think it's cool at like you're saying, at a ceremony, because everybody comes because they, people come because they hope to get promoted or they hope to get to the next level, but also, a lot of people come they're part of a team, so they come to support their teammates, they come to, be part of that. Right. And when everybody's there, like at Valko's, when we have a belt promotion, it's like, sometimes there'll be 100 and some people or like 80 people on the mat. And so to be, part of that, it's cool.
Yeah, it is.
And, jiu-jitsu, it's interesting because it's a team sport. When you're training and when you're in that environment, you need other people that are good to train. Yes. But when you're out on the mat, it's pretty much just you. So it's a kind of an interesting dynamic as far as like sports go.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I like some surprises are kind of cool as long as everyone's in on it except for that guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? All of a sudden there's like, 60 people at the gym and there's one guy doesn't know, but everyone else knows that it's going on. Yeah. That makes sense. You know what I mean? But if it's just like a Tuesday night, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 6 guys on the mat and you get a belt, you're like, okay, thanks. Thanks. Thanks for the thoughtfulness.
Right.
I guess. But whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. And I'm sure some people are saying, well, like, you should promote people like exactly when they're ready for that belt. But, if the next promotion isn't for 3 months, it's like, are you holding that person back? Well, it goes both ways. Yeah. Because that belt promotion could be coming up. Like, let's say there's a belt promotion next week, right? Mm-hmm. This white belt, is he a blue belt yet? No, but if he keeps going at the rate he's going to be a blue belt in 2 months.
Right.
But we can't hold him off until the following belt promotion. Mm-hmm. So you bump them up and hope that they rise to the level.
Yeah, but belt promotions are weird though. Like, so that makes total sense. But so I guess like for me, blue belt and purple belt, I felt like it was kind of weird. Like I wanted the next belt, really bad. Even brown belt, I guess I wanted the next belt, and it's like I got held back, I think. I was a purple belt for like 5 years, and I wanted my brown belt, and I was competing, and I did well, at a few competitions, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get my brown belt now, and it didn't happen, and it's like, in retrospect, I think it was kind of a good thing because it gave me the opportunity to compete one or two more times.
Right.
Each time I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to get my brown belt now. I was like, and it didn't happen. I was like kind of disappointed, and I had the opportunity to go like compete one more time or a couple more times, and then, nobody can take that away from you. Like after you compete and after you have like basically a medal at your rank and your weight class, then somebody can say like, he I don't know if that guy deserved it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I think another 3 months or 6 months or even a year at a belt, it's just going to make you better.
Yeah.
And it's just going to give you the opportunity to get more credentials and get more mat time. And then, nobody can, and you hopefully can get a couple more, wins under your belt. And then nobody can say, oh man, I don't know if that guy deserved his purple belt or,
For sure.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's so, I mean, it could go so many different ways too. Cause it could go the other way. It could go, I think he got held back so he could win that tournament where he should have been a brown belt, but he's still competing at, shit like that.
Right.
There's going to be haters no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. I mean, everyone's like, it's like, I compare it to like school, right? So my birthday's in July, right? So I was the youngest in my class, right? So I was 17 when I graduated.
Yeah.
And everyone else was 18. They were all driving before I was driving. It's just where you fall in that line of that year and when you started and stuff like that.
I was an August birthday.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, I was the same. So I was October actually. Yeah. But when I was like quarter of the way through my senior year, I turned 17, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and then I didn't turn 18 until like my freshman year in college. So, yeah.
So I guess it just matters, how it falls in.
Malcolm Gladwell, he wrote the book Blink and Outliers and stuff like that. He's got a whole chapter on birth dates and how it pertains to high school sports. And he took like professional hockey players, for instance.
Okay.
And they all the majority of them have like March birthdays and.
Yeah, they're mostly like February, March birthdays.
March, February.
Is that right?
Yeah, they like just missed the cutoff from getting bumped up to the higher grade.
Uh-huh.
So they were like essentially 9 months older than everybody else in their year.
Uh-huh.
And you're talking about 9 months in high school, like during puberty. 9 months is like, you got a kid and now you got a man. Like 9 months is like, I've got, a beard going and some pubes and like muscle now. And
Well, that's like an interesting cycle of events because I read the same book and it's talking about like, all right, so you're a year older, so part of it's like you get noticed more because you're bigger, stronger, faster, but then by being noticed more, you get more ice time or for whatever sport it is, you get more mat time or whatever. So the more
and confidence
and you just have more likelihood to excel, and then because you get more mat time and more ice time or whatever your sport is, then you get more opportunity to to excel at your sport and get those hours. They talk about that 10,000 hours you need to get, so you're going to get those 10,000 hours faster. So
that's true.
Psychologically it's a boost too, because if you're competing with the same kids for those 4 years of high school, I mean, you start beating them off the bat. You kind of, it's like that older brother thing where it's like, dudes where you're like, I'm pretty sure you could beat the shit out of your older brother now. And they're like, I don't know, man, and it's like, it's because they have that thing in their head that like their older brother could always beat them up, and you're like, I don't know, you're pretty tough. And you've been training and your brother's a slob, like, I don't know, he is my older brother though.
Well, it's just that thing when you're younger and your mom hits you, right? So my mother, she hit us, old school, right?
Yeah, give you a crack.
Right, she gives you a crack. Exactly. So I remember when I was younger, I didn't realize that I was bigger than my mom, because my mom's 4'11". I'm little, and my mom's really little, right? So I remember I made her mad, and then she would chase me, and I was running around our pool table, and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I running for? So I stopped. She slapped me across the face, and I'm like, all right. She's like, oh, damn.
God damn.
Yeah,
that's
so
it.
One of the guys in our school had that exact scenario. He was the younger brother, and he started doing jiu-jitsu, and I think he was like a blue or purple belt at the time, and they were out, and his brother was always talking shit. His older brother, like, hey man, I don't care what you do. I'll always be the older brother. I'll always whoop your ass. And so finally he was like, all right, cool, man. Let's go to the gym, and you could do whatever you think you're going to do to me, and we'll see how it works out. And obviously it didn't work out well for him.
That's great.
And then it's on video, so there's there's no rebuttal after that.
That's no dispute.
It's on YouTube already.
Yeah. How does that get organized? Like, hey Jay, I'm bringing my brother in to whoop his ass. Make sure he signs a waiver when he rolls through. Like,
we were all for it. Everybody was like, we all witnessed what was going on, and so it was a flawless victory. It was like, they had the boxing gloves on. I think he shot him with a couple jabs, and then shot in for a double leg, took him down, and tapped him out, and it was 90 seconds.
Rear naked choke.
I don't remember how he tapped him out, but it was.
Well, they had boxing gloves, like big boxing gloves on?
Yeah, I think they had boxing gloves.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like MMA with boxing gloves.
Yeah. So, yeah, just don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
No. Surprising. People still think they do stand a chance.
For sure. It's unbelievable. It's like, okay, I get it. Like, you're tough, and you're scrappy, and you got some heart, and you've been in a couple of fist fights, and you grew up on the South Side, so of course you're a badass, right? You know what I mean? But it's like, what, have you trained anything at all? You know what I mean? I will beat you, trust me.
So that's how I got into jiu-jitsu in the first place. I was at the end of college, and I needed to find a gym, like, to just go work out. So I went to a gym, and I was like going to sign up to, just lift weights. Okay. And the guy was like, oh, this was in the late 90s. So the guy was like, when you sign up for the gym, you get a free week of, it was like jiu-jitsu. It was like Japanese jiu-jitsu and judo. Okay. And I was like, cool, man. I don't know what that is, but sounds awesome. Right. So they had class. It was like Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
In the gi?
It was in the gi. Okay. Yeah. So I went, and I didn't know what was going to happen. So I just went and worked out. I did my regular workout routine, and then class started at 7. So I went over to the gym, and it was in the back, like, basketball court area. And they just laid down tatami mats, and the guy showed me, and maybe a half dozen other people he taught the class. He showed me like a takedown, like osotogari, and transition into mount. And then, you got the guy mounted, the guy pushes off, and you drop back to an armbar. Right. I was like, this is pretty cool stuff, but I don't know if it's really going to work, Right. And so sure enough, you do your sparring. You go to sparring after the technique, and the guy took me down, mounted me, and I was like, I don't like this. So I push him off me, and the guy armbars me, and I'm tapping out, and I'm like, oh, this shit works.
Yeah. That reaction is exactly what I thought it was going to do.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So
funny.
That's the nice thing about jiu-jitsu. It sells itself.
Yeah, it does.
Your real job is just to try and get students into the gym. Just like get them in for that first class or that free week, Yeah,
I think it does one of two things. So you're talking about the guys that say they've been in 100 street fights and they're undefeated and all that kind of stuff. So it does one of two things. It either humbles you and it makes you want to come in more and learn whatever just happened to you, because it's like magical when it first happens, and or people are like, screw this, I have no interest in putting myself in a situation like that ever again. Like that sucked, right? Yeah. And they just never come back, and they go back to like living their own reality of the narrative that they tell themselves.
Right, exactly.
So bizarre that thinking. Like, how would you not want to come back? Like, you've been put in a painful, like, very tough position. It's like, I wouldn't want that to happen in the street. I'd rather happen in a safe environment with teammates and a coach on mats, you know?
But there's also those people that come in and they'll get their, their 4-stripe. They'll even get their blue belt, and then they'll dip out after blue, because they feel like that to achieve that purple is such a long journey, and they're like, oh, I'm good here. Yeah. I know enough where I can beat probably most of the people I come across. And they are right. But for the people who want to go the long, go for the long road, it's
well, it's when you talk about a purple belt, what a purple belt or even a blue belt for that matter can do to somebody who doesn't know jiu-jitsu, it's like I said, it's unbelievable. It's you could train for a year and get some decent mat time, and you can it's like wrestling with the little kid, yeah, I mean, even after I had done judo for a few years, I fell into jiu-jitsu because I was at the Kodokan in Japan. I was training judo, and I thought after a few years, I knew what I was doing.
So you went to Japan?
Yeah, I lived in Japan from 01 to 03.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you started out here in the late 90s. Was it like 99, 98?
This is 90. Is February 98.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had just kind of finished college, and like I said, I was going to the gym.
What gym was offering that jiu-jitsu?
It was a school in Ohio, and
Okay.
the guy, did Japanese jiu-jitsu and judo, and I only trained there for a little while, and then I came up to Chicago, and Hollis Barnett and a guy named Brian Higgins were teaching together. They were teaching that judo and Japanese jiu-jitsu. It was actually the same location that Redzovic's just opened at 226 South Wabash. It used to be Hollis Barnett's place.
Okay.
And they did judo and stuff like that there.
So after you left Ohio, you sought them out. Like you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
it was
I
the
need to
same
continue
like
doing
network,
this.
and I was like,
Right,
I want this is cool. Like I want to keep doing this. I don't know like what I'm going to do with my life.
Yeah.
I just thought at the end of college, you're supposed to go get an office job and do whatever it is that you do after college, and I did that, and basically all I could think about when I was at the office was I can't wait till this day ends so I can go to jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And and so that happened for like almost 4 years, and then I didn't like my roommates. I didn't like the girl I was dating, and I was like, it was at the internet bust in 2000, 2001. So I was like, all right, I'm going to, try to figure things out. So I applied to be a police officer. I applied for another office job, and then I applied for a job in Tokyo teaching English.
What?
And
how do you
Looking to change it up, dude.
Wait, I was like, I don't know. Police officer, office job, teacher in Tokyo.
I was like, I'm just mixing it up. Yeah.
That's
So I was like, I don't know what I
right.
want to do, but I know I love, jiu-jitsu and judo. And so I was like, all right, whatever job I get first, I'm going to go. And I didn't expect that I would get the job in Tokyo.
Right?
And then, after a few interviews, they were like, all right, you're hired. I got this letter, and I was like, oh crap, I got this job. I'm like, now I have to go.
Right. Yeah. So you were in Chicago when you went out to Tokyo then?
Yeah. So I was in Chicago, and I left, it was May of 01.
Was your girlfriend devastated?
I don't know.
I didn't tell her.
She thinks we're still together. Yeah, right. Long distance.
Yeah. I don't know, you have to ask her. Find her, hunt her down, and ask her. But no, I just it was like May of 01. I went out there, and then it was basically just to travel and train, and teaching English was just like a avenue to get me there. They sponsored me for a 3-year visa. I was like, all right, cool. Nice. And then right away I went to go try all these, like, so they have these different books, like the Globetrotters, and like basically I just went over there and tried all these different gyms. I knew like I wanted to go to Tokyo, that you get the opportunity to pick where you want to go, or pick like the level age of students that you want to teach. And I was like, I don't really care. Like, I just want to go to Japan and live in Tokyo and go train at the Kodokan, because that's where everything. This was 2001, so it was before jiu-jitsu got that popular, and I didn't know about Brazilian jiu-jitsu at the time.
Okay.
So,
but Pride was around back then, right?
Pride was around, yeah. I just didn't know about any of it. Like I kind of knew about it. I had seen it, but I didn't follow it that much. And I was into judo, and I was like, all right, well, this is the way to go. So,
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So I went over there, and I'd been training at the Kodokan for a few months, and they do, stand up randori and then newaza on the ground. And so I went to the ground, and I had been doing judo for a few years, so I thought I knew what I was doing. And this guy just, again, like what happened to me back in 98, like just kicked my ass again. Right. And I was like, that sucks. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I just got smoked on the ground. I was like, so where do you, and he's an Israeli guy had come over to train, same thing, to train in judo and jiu-jitsu and get as much knowledge as he could. And I was like, where do you learn this stuff? Because this isn't just judo. And he was like, oh, I go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the morning, and I come here at night. And I was like, cool. And if you look at a map of Tokyo, it's like a bowl of spaghetti. Like it's not like a grid system like Chicago. So it's hard to find places. And so I was like, show me where, can you show me where this place is? And the guy was like, sure, meet me on the, whatever the train stop was at 9:30 in the morning the next day.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is my opportunity. If I miss this guy, then I will never find this place.
Right.
So I got to meet this guy. So I showed up at 9:30, met this guy at the train stop. He showed me, it was just like a 5-minute walk. And I went over this place called Axis Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is run by Taka. He's a black belt under Hickson.
Oh, wow. Nice.
He was a brown belt at the time. And then I went in there and it was kind of the same thing happened to me. I was like, a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and my first day at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but 4 years after I'd been training judo, and I was like, cool, doing all right against some of the white belts and maybe even some of like lower level blue belts. And then to this day, I have no idea what Taka said.
Okay.
But he spoke, he was Japanese Brazilian guy, and so he spoke English, Japanese, and Portuguese. And he was like, said something to one of the purple belts, who is Brazilian, Japanese Brazilian too, and he's like said something to him. He's like, all right, TK, you go with this guy next. I was like, cool. So I just strutted over there and this dude just like had his way with me for like 10 minutes. And some guys they're really good at like one position, so they'll tap you out with like a scissors choke like 8 times, and it sucks. But this was like a learning experience because every way I turned, he tapped me out with something different.
He hit you with everything.
Yeah, it was like a choke, an arm bar, like a shoulder lock. I don't know, different type of choke.
Right.
And I was just like, same thing as 4 or 5 years before. I was, all right, I gotta learn this now. Yeah.
Hooked. So how long were you in Japan then?
I was there from May of 01 to August. I came home August of 03. Oh, wow. So
did you learn Japanese?
Yeah, so they had classes, and so it was 100 yen, which is basically a buck for a 2-hour class.
Oh, wow.
Of Japanese. So twice a week I would go, study Japanese.
So you retain to this day?
I've been home for, I guess, 14 years now. So, I mean, if I could speak a little bit, but not have a conversation like.
What about write it? Is that totally different?
It's different. So there's like, I think it's like 100 and some. There's hiragana, which is like the phonetic sound of the alphabet. Okay. That like up there on Hickson's chest. Yeah. That's katakana, and that's his name.
Is that what that
phonetically
is?
Spelled out. Yeah. Okay. Like it right in the middle. Yeah. And then below that is kanji, and that there's like 50,000 characters in kanji.
No shit.
But they only use like, I guess, 2,000 of them.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah, that's
okay.
But that katakana and hiragana up there, they use like 100 and some characters or whatever. So that's pretty easy to learn. The bottom part, it's like,
yeah.
I think
big ass alphabet.
Yeah,
it's whole nother journey.
So when you got bit by the jiu-jitsu bug in Japan, what were you doing, like morning classes, jiu-jitsu, judo at night, or did you just go straight to jiu-jitsu only, or how'd you split it up?
So it was like little by little, I just navigated. I did less and less judo and more jiu-jitsu. It's just like you said, it's a bug. So when I went over there, I kind of tried all these different gyms. Like, I tried Aikido, and I went to like the headquarters in Aikido, and I.
Did you see Steven Seagal?
No, but it was pretty much like that. Like I was like, down on the mat, and there was some 4th degree black belt, and he's like, all right, try to turn this guy's wrist, and he's like, grab my wrist, and he's like, all right, resist. I'm like, okay, and then he's like, I can't do it, So
that's
it doesn't work. So I think I went there for a few classes, and I was like, all right, I'm going to back to the Kodokan. And
is it like, don't you like almost feel embarrassed? Like, oh, it's so embarrassing. You can't do it. Like, I've never ever felt that way in jiu-jitsu. Ever.
Yeah.
I wasn't like Andre's like showing something like, oh, it does not work. No. Everything he does is brutal and it's gonna fucking hurt. You know what I mean? When he shows you something, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna show you this choke today. I'm like, fuck. Okay, Zito, sit down. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
and then you got that.
And he'll like reference shit. He'll be like, I won Pan Ams in 2013 with this, or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay, you know.
And you're like, this shit is gonna be real. And then, sometimes he won't put it all the way on because he'll have to talk it out and, But sometimes you just like, he's going to put it on. And then you got that guy who was like, oh, you guys see it again? I'm like, come on, really? You didn't see it 4 times, just did it?
How about you come down here so I can see it?
So I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the greatest thing about jiu-jitsu is that it works for, it proves itself.
It does.
Yeah, and it's like in boxing, like you got it as good as you can be. Sometimes you still take a little bit of punishment, but in jiu-jitsu, if you're really proficient at it, like you can just tool somebody and not even like break a sweat.
Exactly.
So and it's like there's always some guys that are just athletically gifted and a lot bigger than you that can give you a hard time.
Right.
But for the most part,
But yeah, like you said,
speaks for itself.
You're very proficient. Those big guys, you already know what to expect.
Yeah.
Because it's so interesting. As my journey continues, and I roll with more and more people, I almost like you can kind of know what they're going to do before they even do it. You're like, I know what you're going to do. I'm already there. I'm already there when you're not even there yet. Right. I know what's going to happen here. And I can imagine at your level, first degree black belt, you're seeing you're like, dude, I'm going to be there before you're even going to be there, and I'm going to do this to you before you even know I'm going to do it to you.
Right.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. So a long time ago, one of the guys who was one of the teachers, he said, he kind of like broke down like the different levels of belts, and he said, a white belt, basically you're just defending all the time.
Yeah.
All you want to do is try to win, but you don't really know how.
Right.
And then when you get to blue belt, like a lot of the moves, but you have that tunnel vision where you're really focusing on a move that like you're grabbing the guy's arm and trying to push it down because you want a kimura or whatever. Right. And then by the time you're an upper level blue belt or right on the border of purple belt, you're starting to string positions together. Mm-hmm. And then when you're a purple belt, you're stringing the positions together, but when you're putting them together in the transition. So you're not like, if you get swept, you're not waiting to get swept and then in that position, and then have a guy on top of you and you're like, oh crap, now I gotta recompose guard.
Right.
You're already in the transition before you get swept.
Exactly.
And then
your hips are just you're just automatically, hips are moving, everything's going together. It's a flow. Right?
Yeah. And so that I think is true.
What about from purple to brown? What's that? That's a big leap there too, right?
Yeah, I think it's a huge leap. I think from purple to brown, I think you're just refining. I think a lot of the stuff you have at purple stays with you, and the game that you've kind of developed around your body style stays with you. I think at from purple all the way through. I mean, you look at some of these purple belts; they're beating black belts, right? So, purple, brown, black. It's just refining that technique and those little nuances that you kind of get a better understanding of, and your
and just
timing and your movement and like you said, the ability to kind of see the future.
Yeah, the future.
Like the chess match. You're not just looking at one piece. You're looking at all of the angles and all these different pieces, and thinking ahead or reacting. Just like one of my favorite matches ever was at purple belt at Pans. It was like my 4th match of the day, and I got done. I saw the guy that I was going to fight next, and they raised his arm, and and I was like, oh crap! Like, and his gi was open. He's got all these big muscles, and I was like, oh fuck! Like, I was like, I don't want to fight this guy next. Like, I'm like 3 or 4 matches in. I'm like, this is gonna, this is gonna be a hard match. Like, this might be the end of the road. And I got a hold of him, and both of us were gassed, and we didn't have any strength left.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, all these muscles that he has, like they're not working,
Right.
And so I guess it made it the most enjoyable because it was like, instead of, it being based off strength or endurance, in addition to jiu-jitsu, it was really like that strength and endurance was gone. So that match of like almost all of my jiu-jitsu matches was like the one match that I feel like we were just doing jiu-jitsu because we didn't have anything else left,
Super technical.
Yeah, it was. I don't even know if it was technical.
right.
It was just like, it was just fun because it was more like a flow roll where we're just like in all these different positions because you can't hold a position that much, that long. So, it was just fun.
That's funny.
Yeah, I do appreciate the super tired rolls. Like when you're just exhausted, but you're still going to do it. and you're gonna have and it's definitely more flowy, yeah, because you just can't. You're just gonna go.
Yeah.
Unless worry
you're
too much about the position.
Yeah, unless you're set up by like a buddy that's like, oh yeah, go with this guy. You know, he's gonna go light. He's easy. You know.
Yeah.
Going light.
Yeah, exactly.
You just want to go light? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
go light.
Go with that big Eastern European dude over there.
Yeah, they love to go. They're known for going light.
They are.
He's fun. He's easy to roll. He's just like he's just flow.
Oh man. So you're at Valko's gym, right?
But hang on, I want to go back to Japan real quick.
Oh, okay. Go
I
back.
mean, how badass is that you like landed, within distance of a Hickson brown belt there? Pretty cool.
It was super fortuitous. It was really cool, and to have the opportunities that you have in Japan, it was like a giant playland over there. So it was like I was 25 years old, and I was like in the middle of like it was when Pride was kind of like right in the biggest stages.
Yeah.
And they had all that different stuff going on. And so to be able to train at the world headquarters for judo, and then when I was there, he went back to the U.S. because Hickson was in California at the time. And so a couple weeks later, he came back and he was wearing a black belt. I didn't understand what that meant, to get a black belt.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood what it meant to get a black belt, but I don't think I understood like the gravity of getting a black belt from Hickson. And so like when he came back, everybody's like, oh, cool. So now he's I think, like the president of the IBJJF, like Asia. So yeah, or he's some, big guy over there. So it was interesting to like be part of that from an early stage, and now he's got like several different access schools. And
now, did he belt you?
Yeah, so I got my blue belt before I came home from Japan.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So it was like just a few months before I came home from Japan. I got my blue belt.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, it was I don't know. It was just cool. It's like probably one of the better times of my life. I mean, I went from like trying to figure out like what I wanted to do with my life to just like having a blast, just traveling around the world, training, and teaching English. It was like just a side part of that.
Right.
It was like you work 7 or 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, and you get your teaching vacations, and it gives you the opportunity to travel and still like go learn as much.
What brought you back to Chicago?
If I knew I was gonna get the job with the fire department, I would have just stayed there until like the day before I got hired. From the fire department. So I just thought, all right, I've been over here for a little bit more than 2 years. I should. It's a year-to-year contract, so I'll just. I think I should go home. I never went back to the U.S. when I was over there. All the vacations that I had, I just took the opportunity to go travel different places in Asia because it takes so long from the U.S. to get over to Asia.
Right.
It's like, if I can go from Tokyo to, Thailand in 6 hours as opposed to like 25 hours when I'm back in the U.S. I was like, I'm going to go to Thailand, or like any of these other places in Asia. So I just, I was like, all right, I should go back, I love my family and I've been away from a little bit more than 2 years, and I should, go like try to figure out life. And I've been putting off like, I guess my, growing up or.
Yeah.
You sowed your wild oats.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
I've been putting this off for a while, so I should go back. But, and then I came back, and it was the same story over again. Like I just, I needed to find a job, and really all I wanted to do was do jiu-jitsu, and I needed work to make a living and stuff.
You picked out firefighter would be the best job if you want to do jiu-jitsu a lot.
Yeah, and it was. I think.
I mean, it's the gig.
It is, right?
Firefighter.
Yeah,
it's the gig everyone wants.
I feel like everything, how I grew up and what I like to do, like it's all just. It's. I can't think of a better job or any other job that I'd like to do. It's just like, when I was younger, I like to wrestle around and with my friends, and I like to break stuff.
Yeah, right.
And like you get to break things as a fireman, and it's it's cool. So
hell yeah,
So
it's a real dude job. You're around other
Are
dudes.
there women firefighters?
there are. There's a percentage is small. Like so, I went in the fire academy in 2008.
Okay.
And there were roughly 100 of us, and I think there were two 2 girls out of 100. There's probably more now. Like they have to get their quota and stuff.
Oh,
so
right?
I think there's probably more, and they just things are different. But
yeah, there was some controversy too that they were dropping the requirements for the physical test and stuff like that. People were pretty upset about that.
Yeah, so now there's like a national standard. So they don't have like just Chicago's not administering the test, so it's a national standard. So it's like they can't argue if they don't pass.
Right.
But I'm a huge advocate of it's a physical job. It's like getting a belt in jiu-jitsu that you don't deserve. If you're I guess I'd be careful of what I say, but if you're on the receiving end of the service from the fire department or the police or military, you want the best person for the job.
Yeah, I want someone that could carry me out of there.
Yeah, Yeah, so you want the most physical and the person that's going to make the best decisions. You don't want just like some fat ass that's going to go, I don't want to go in the building. Or
Right. Yeah, those firefighters, they seem prety fit, right? They're a fit group.
Yeah.
Collectively, they're probably the fittest, right? Compared to like the police.
I don't have any statistics,
But it just seems to be like it just me living life, looking around. Seems that firefighters seem to be more fit.
There's not a whole lot of them out of shape. That's for sure.
Exactly. Because I think, what do you guys do when you're not fighting fires? Like I know there's like you guys have like probably a gym inside the house.
Pumping iron and eating.
right.
Thinking about jiu-jitsu techniques. There's a gym in most firehouses, and it's a lot of guys.
And then there's continued education, right? You have to continually train and do stuff to fight fires, right?
And
there's different
physical
classes.
test is tough, right? You guys got like 60-pound vest and shit that you got to fucking run up 30 flights of stairs with and stuff like that.
Yeah, so in the academy we had like a test every month. It was a 6-month academy, but we had a test every month, and I can't remember the sequence exactly, but it was like you have to. There's a stairwell. There's like 5 flights, not regular flights, but 5 industrial flights. Yeah. And you carry a bag in each hand. That's in that bag is like a 25-pound weight. So you can't hang on to the rails. So you run up and down that twice. And at the end of it, you go and I think the next thing is you got to do push-up, as many push-ups as you can. And they have like it's on what do they call it? They use it for music.
Turntable? That clock thing.
So you have to do it. Your chest has to hit it.
That timer.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So your chest has to hit it on everything. You can't just do it at your own pace. So you have to, up, down, and then when you fall out of pace, you're done. So you have to do as many push-ups as you can, and then you straight from that you do as many pull-ups as you can. And then I think the next one was then you go into a plank, and then you plank for the max you can stay is 2 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
and that weeds a lot of them out, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're kind of in the academy. You're graded on that. So the better you do on that physical part of the test, it just kind of factors into your overall performance in the academy, and then that factors into generally like what house you get assigned to.
Yeah.
So,
what house you gonna?
Yeah, so there's good houses. They are busier, and good houses and bad houses. So, if you're in the top part of your academy, then you can you get your pick. Like, all right, I want to go to the south side or the west side where they see a lot of action and do fun stuff.
So, as a young fighter, do you want to go out and see action?
Yes.
Right?
They all do.
Yeah.
Right? They all want the busy house.
But then when you get older, you're like,
When you've seen enough of it, you're like, I want to chill.
Yeah, I haven't gotten older yet, so I'm 42, but I like
we're
to
the same
think
age.
I like to think that I'm not getting older yet, so hopefully I can stay at one of those houses for a while.
For sure.
I took the last test.
Yeah,
it was like 2 years ago. I mean, I passed. It's
you did?
You got to be retarded to fail that thing.
Third grade.
Yeah.
I think they make it easier and easier every time.
Yeah.
What is like? What's so hard about? I mean, what's so easy about it?
I wish I could remember some of the questions.
It's like the SATs, but for 4th graders.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, why do they make it so easy? Is there a reason why they make it so easy?
No, I mean it's really just about weeding out like
What?
people.
Because there's
who,
so
like,
many applicants. How many applicants are there?
Dude, there was 35,000 applicants.
35,000. Let's make the test a little harder.
No, well, I mean, look, you get 35,000.
It's like a waste of administrative work.
Let's say 5,000 fail, right? Now you're down to 30,000. Then you get your number. Then you have to do a physical test. That's going to chop half of them out at least. Then you got the drug test, which is going to chop half of that out. You know, so now you're down to 10,000 people, and then you get your lottery number, and
then you just wait.
You just wait.
And what number did you get?
That I got like 9,000.
So you're still waiting?
No,
you'll be waiting until about 90. I'll call you.
I'm like,
Paul, you ready?
I'm going back to work. You're kind of screwed. Like, you got to be 1,200 or less,
yeah,
or else you're not going to get called.
Yeah, and it depends. I think 38's the cutoff. So if you don't get called before 38, if you go into the academy the day before your 38th birthday, you're good.
Right.
But if you hit 38 and then the academy starts the day after your 38th birthday, that's it. You know, your chance is over. So, and then there's mandatory retirement at 63. So.
But it's a super fair system. It's not like you could, hey, I know a guy and he got me in. It's like all.
Oh, it's not like that?
No.
Really?
Nobody could get grandfathered in anymore to the fire department. It's like the last number of your social, and then they do like lottery drawing. And
wow.
that's how you get your number.
Wow.
Yeah, it used to be. I think the test in '96 or '98 that it was based on merit. So the better you did on the test, the earlier the number you would get.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think it should be a combination of how well you do on the test, the aptitude test, in addition to your physical scores.
Right. Best man or woman for the job. Period.
Yeah. And I think police, military, I think they all should be. You know, it's part of the job. So
yeah.
A lot of firefighters smoke. Do you notice that?
I think a lot of the previous generation firefighters smoked, but I think, and if I look at a lot of the guys that I work with, they're all in good shape and they care about their health.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's always so strange to me to see like doctors or, you know what I mean? Like
nurses, ER nurses.
Right, go out and have a cigarette or
high stress jobs, yeah.
It's odd. It's just so odd to me. You know, I just don't get it.
I think stogies is more of a fire, like an old school Chicago fireman, you know, like they'll have like a stogie.
I can't take it anymore. Like I walk down the street, if I'm walking down the street and someone's smoking and I'll pass them, honestly, I just want to slap them. I really do.
Yeah.
Like I truly just want, like that's what it feels like when I walk by you and you're smoking and I have to smell it. It feels like you're slapping me in the face. I physically just want to slap you.
Yeah.
I think that would be okay.
Hey, we're even.
We're even. You slap me with the smoke, I'm just going to physically slap you. And then it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
I think if we
or
made
how
it a
about
thing,
I
people
just
would stop smoking.
Blow a fart in your face. How about that?
I like the slap
like
better.
that? Do you?
Because then I got to think about it. Okay, get over here. You got to line them up
Right.
if the wind's not right now.
Yeah.
Just slap right away.
I think the worst is when you're at like the beach and just trying to get some fresh air.
Yeah.
And then the person next to you is just smoking. It's just blowing in your face. Like you're trying to chill out. You're at the beach, and then that's, you know, I understand if people want to smoke. That's their right. Whatever. But
And I used to smoke.
Yeah.
When I was younger. Fuck. And I don't know why I did that. It's so stupid.
Keeps you employed, TK.
yeah,
All the smokers out there.
Is that true? Is that still a huge thing? Like,
No, I think they have a thing in
they
the
changed
cigarettes
the way
now.
the cigarettes burn, right?
Yeah, they like die out if you
die
don't
out.
take a drag off it in like 30 seconds or something.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean I've seen people that have things haven't worked out for them.
Yeah.
Because they fell asleep with a cigarette.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But I mean, I've only seen it a couple times, so yeah.
Jeez.
Fireman, is that the best gig for picking up chicks? Like if you're talking to a group of ladies at the bar or something like that, and they're like, "Hey, what do you do?" Like that's like that's top 3.
I don't know, man.
You're like, "Hey,
'Cause
I'm
IT
a
guy
rock
is
star."
pretty slick, dude.
No.
I can fix your computer.
Yeah. You're like, I'm a rock star, I'm a CEO, or I'm a fireman.
Right.
That's like your top 3, right?
It's got to be.
Right?
Yeah, you have to ask the guys. So
TK, have you felt the love out there?
I graduated. I graduated the academy, and 3 months later, I got married. So I never really experienced that.
Yeah, okay. Capitalize on that, huh?
I'm sure there are guys, that capitalize on it for sure.
Don't they do those like calendars with like firemen and stuff like that? Isn't that like a popular thing?
Yeah, they do that. Ignite the Spirit does. they are a fundraising organization for firefighters,
right.
and they do a calendar every year. Okay. So there's 12 dudes, right. Or I think last year there were a couple girls actually.
Yeah. And then what's with the boot thing? I see that in the suburbs. Yeah, I see that in the suburbs, and I'm always like, "What are we doing here? What's the boot? What is that whole?"
So
thing
it's just it's Shake the Boot. It's for different charities. I don't know what the suburbs do it for. Okay. The ones that we usually do it for are Misericordia and I think Ignite the Spirit's another one. But it's basically you just stand on the street corner and you have a boot and your bunker gear on and.
Right. Panhandling.
Yeah, you're panhandling, but you're for a good cause.
Right. For a good cause, right.
A couple years ago, I was out doing the Shake the Boot, and I think one of the bums got mad that we were like
really?
in his territory. He's like eyeballing me.
You're taking my gig, bro. Yeah.
So tell us about like the craziest call you've ever been on. Or one of them.
I mean, so I'll just tell you. So you go through the 6 months in the academy, and the first 3 months are EMS, and then the last 3 months is fire suppression. And I guess you're always curious, like just like in jiu-jitsu, you're always curious how you're going to react when you're put in the thick of it,
right.
or in competition.
Sure.
You train, and then when you go to competition, you're like, am I going to do as well as when I'm training?
Right.
And so you kind of learn you have all these different scenarios that are presented to you, but in a training aspect. And then, so I got assigned to Engine 117, which is on the west side of Chicago, right out of the academy. And, like the first night we had, it was in the middle of the summer. So I think July 20th was my first day. So it's the west side in the middle of summer. And
good times.
Yeah. And I came home and my wife was like, so, how was it? Was it like what you expected? I'm like, yeah, it was cool, like
cool. Chicks were throwing their panties at me. It was awesome.
Not the chicks on the west side. But she's like, well, so tell me what happened. I was like, I was like, all right, I'll give you one more chance to not ask that question, and then I'll tell you what happened. And she's like, all right, she's like, I want to hear about your night. I'm like, all right, so we did a bunch of different, it was like medical calls and stuff like that, and then we had like 1 o'clock in the morning or something, the bells ring, and we got a triple shooting, and so it was I don't know, it was interesting.
Yeah.
And that's all mixed in with fires and rescue work.
What do you go to the shootings for?
So we're a lot of the companies now in Chicago are EMS.
Oh, okay.
So if the ambulance is further away and a longer response time, they'll send the engine or the truck who's basically has the same equipment but can't transport. So they'll get there first, and then the ambulance will get there after. So you provide the initial care, the ambulance comes. They take over the care and then do the transport to the hospital. So, so it's interesting. Every time I relate everything back to jiu-jitsu. So every time you think, you're really good at, jiu-jitsu, somebody comes along and like whoops your ass.
Right.
And every time you think you've seen a lot at firefighting or a lot, then, you meet this 30 or 40 year veteran that shows you that you don't, you don't know anything. Right. And, or you go on a call that you think you're prepared, you think understand what to do, and you go on a call, you're like, whoa, that's something different. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the cool thing about the job is you get the opportunity to help people, but you also get the opportunity to like operate cool equipment and break things, and it's always something different. You can
different every day,
run all kinds of different scenarios, but every scenario is slightly different.
Right,
so.
Right. Is a cat in the tree still a thing?
That's like the worst question
ever. Oh my god.
Oh
man. my buddy, he's a firefighter too. He says he gets a lot of suicide calls. Like he'll like roll into people's apartments and they'll be like, "Hey, that dude just shot himself in the head." Type thing.
He's a firefighter?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I would never think that.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like we used to get run numbers, and like at 117, I think the last year that I saw that we did run numbers was like 3,300 calls, and 2/3 of that was their EMS calls, and then the other third of that was fire calls. So the majority of the calls that you're doing are, well, in that case, every company is different. The company that I'm assigned to now, we just do rescue work, and so we don't have to go on the EMS calls. But I would say the majority of the fire companies are probably doing EMS calls more than fire calls. But if you're on the west side or the south side, you still get your you still get your fires and rescue work. So that's like the better part of the job, in my opinion.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, to go like do all the rescue work, I think that's why we're firefighters. That's what we want to do. So yeah.
Do you ever try and bring mats into the firehouse and like teach the guys some jiu-jitsu and stuff? Like,
so jiu-jitsu is interesting like that because everybody's interested in it,
right?
But when it really comes to like, everybody asks you about jiu-jitsu, like if they know you do jiu-jitsu, everybody's like, oh, cool, man. Like I'm gonna come to your gym, But how many guys really show up? Right. Very few. And however many years I've been doing this, almost 20 years. Everybody wants to come, but then nobody really wants to do jiu-jitsu. Not nobody, but it's very few people, So yeah, at any rate, yeah, we brought mats into the firehouse. I think it's kind of a bad idea.
Okay.
Because in jiu-jitsu, everybody's there. It's just a different environment. There's an ego, like everybody wants to win and get better, but there's not, outside of jiu-jitsu, everybody wants to think that they know how to fight.
Right.
But when
they're trying to impress you.
Yes.
Hey, I want to be the toughest guy to TK, like.
Yeah. So everybody wants to say, like, talk about fighting and say I've been in a fight or whatever. But when it really comes down to it, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're rolling with a bunch of spastic white belts on their first day, right?
Yeah, and then you have like a huge variance. So, you have some guys that are, pretty athletic, like, or wrestled and, pretty tough, strong, athletic guys. And then you have some other guys that are not. And so when you match that up, it's not like you're in a controlled environment. You're in a somewhat controlled environment because it's a mat, but you're also like you're in a weight room surrounded by weights and stuff like that. So it's like, I just think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah. And we used to like mess around and there was that exact scenario that I'm talking about. There's like an older guy that really likes jiu-jitsu and always wants to like, talk about jiu-jitsu. And then there's another guy who, is a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, had done it for a few years, like, but also a lot bigger and 20 years younger. And so you put those guys together and you're outside of jiu-jitsu academy and that ego comes into play.
Sure.
And then one of the guys, he was like, and you could see everybody's face. Like the guy that potentially hurt him, he didn't know how bad he hurt him. So he felt really bad. The guy that got hurt, he was like, So,
I mean, it turns into like an actual scrap, because you're like, this dude is going to hold this over my head for like the rest of my career. There's going to be the guys are going to be busting my balls in the firehouse and stuff like that. If someone taps you at the jiu-jitsu academy, you've got like 1,000 more opportunities to get back if that's the way you think.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's kind of they're so similar, but they're so far apart. So in the group of people, like you said, it's like at the firehouse, you could do 1,000 things right, and you do one thing wrong, and you'll get a nickname, and you'll hear about it for the rest of your career. So like if I say something wrong today at the firehouse, they'll pick it apart and they'll tease me about it for the rest of my life. But in jiu-jitsu, it's like if you go out, fight to win, all the guys from the academy are supportive, right? Everybody's there to support you.
Oh, they came out to watch?
At Fight to Win?
Your crew? Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
They were there.
That's awesome.
So, but it's also like at jiu-jitsu, if you win or if you lose, everybody's still your teammate. They all still respect you. They know what you're going through.
Right.
At the firehouse, I think they like that, but they expect you to win, and if you don't win, you're gonna hear about it. You know, so
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So when you go to the academy the next day, it's like everybody's like, congratulations, whether you won or you lost. They're like, hey, good fight, man. Congratulations, good match. I know there's a big controversy between fights and matches now.
Yeah.
So good match.
I'm saying fight.
Yeah. And so like they're good match, whatever.
Right.
And you know, but if you lost at the firehouse, you lost. It's very black and white.
Exactly.
So you know, you got to go in the next day and hang your head and be like, yeah, sorry, I didn't do this. I didn't.
Right.
You let the whole department down. Damn it. So let's get back to jiu-jitsu. So we left off where you got belted in Japan.
Yeah.
Blue belt. And then you came back to Chicago.
Yeah.
And then
you found Carlson?
Yeah. So I came back to Chicago and I lived like 2 blocks from Carlson. You know, it was when Carlson Sr. was still alive.
Yeah.
So I lived 2 blocks from Carlson Gracie Academy. And and I trained there from the time I got back to Chicago until 2010.
Nice.
And then I went to Valko's down in 2010. And I think I was a brown belt, or no, I'm sorry, I was a purple belt when I went to Valko's.
Okay.
And I went there, I think right around, it was right around Pans. I think it was right after Pans, because I competed in Pans at purple belt in 2010 under Carlson.
Okay.
And then after that it was, I was at Valko's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think it was a good change. I mean, I think it helped me. You know, they have that whole thing about not. It used to. I think it's an older school mentality where you're not supposed to train at different schools, which I kind of disagree with. I think. There's no secrets anymore in jiu-jitsu with anything, you know. I mean, you can't have a conversation and say I did this. You can pick up your phone and be like, you're full of shit.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't say I'm a fighter or I do jiu-jitsu or I'm whatever rank it is or I did this tournament. You can find it out in 30 seconds.
Right.
So I think I'm a huge advocate of training at different schools. So I think going down to Valko's and then like, you know, I think going up to like I'll split my time. So I'll train primarily at Valko's, but I go to New Breed a lot too now, just because I live 5 minutes from there too.
Okay.
And I think just being exposed to different training partners, different body types, different levels, different styles is you can't go wrong that way. And if you want to look up a technique, you can find anything on the YouTube, you know, on the internet or whatever. So.
You got to kind of see what you're comfortable with, you know? I mean, everyone's teaching style is different. You jive with the crew differently. I love, you know, going to open mats, you know, training with a bunch of guys. It's so nice that everyone has open mats and you can just kind of pick and choose. I mean, since we've been doing the podcast, you know, we've opened, you know, a lot of relationships with these other gyms, and it's awesome just to be able to walk into Viana or New Breed or wherever, you know, and go. It's cool, you know? And then, you know, our Andre at Monaco, he's go train there wherever you want. He's not like, you know.
Yeah.
It's nice.
No,
it's nice.
He's always was, you know, cool. Because we trained together at Carlson's. Andre, I think he was a purple belt when I was a blue belt. So, he was always really cool.
Yeah, and he says it. You know, this is, you know, I like his style of jiu-jitsu. I like what he's teaching.
Yeah,
you know, and am I gonna like it for the rest of my life? I don't know. But right now, I love the guy. Yeah. That's my guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how your journey's going to end. You know, no one knows. But right now, this is where I need to be.
Right.
You know?
If it were up to me and money and ego were not in the equation, I think it would be just awesome to have just a giant school with everybody in Chicago training at the same school and, you know, different teachers. So you get a different, you know, look, but basically all teaching the same sequence of techniques for a full week.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. I think it gets confusing when you have, you know, a teacher, like you have a couple different teachers in the same class. So if you're teaching and you teach, I don't know, like a guard passing technique, and then I come in and I teach sweep that don't relate to each other. Exactly. It just doesn't I think that all the techniques need to tie in together.
I agree.
But I think if you had everybody at one school, it's just a pipe dream. I know it's never going to happen.
Yeah, right.
But like in Japan at the Kodokan, you have all these guys like coming there to train from all these different schools and like different academies and from all over the world. And it's like, if you had this one place central in Chicago that you could have 200 guys on the mat at one time and you could just train, or it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
do you go
I
to that black and brown belt like group that gets together once a month?
Yeah, so I think that's the closest thing to it, and I think that's super cool. Whenever my schedule allows it, I wish I could go every time they have it. My schedule rotates as a firefighter,
but it's not a class. It's more of it's open mat.
It's an open mat. We
It's
just
a training
get together and
session.
train.
It's a training session, right.
Yeah, and everybody's really cool, and we just get together and train. It's supposed to be like an ego-free environment. We all just get together, we train, and for the most part, it's respected. Everybody, just there to train and have a good time and learn and get better.
But that's something about like the 10 planet system, like Eddie Bravo's warm-ups, he puts that out, and like, I think the majority of all the 10 planets, implement his system into their curriculum. So like this week we're doing H or whatever it is. And so they're all in sync, he's got like what?
Keeps everyone on the same page.
Exactly. Keeps everyone on the same page of like, of what they're learning.
He's got like 60 schools or something.
I think he's
like
got more than that by now.
I think that's a great way to do it. So like when I teach at Jay, so Jay will do the same thing. So he'll teach Monday he'll start, and then he'll teach the same sequence all week. And that's the way I learned from Taka. He taught the same way. So he would teach the same sequence from Monday through Sunday. Okay. So especially when I was in my earlier stages of, learning jiu-jitsu, it was perfect, because if you learn 4 or 5 techniques in a class on Monday as a white belt, you're going to have a hard time to remember all the techniques, let alone all the details of each technique.
Right.
So, but if you go to class Monday through Saturday or Monday through Sunday, and you keep seeing those, you pick up all these little details, and hopefully by the end of the week, you'll remember at least all the techniques and how they string together.
Right.
And for me, it just makes sense. And I think like what you're talking about with Eddie Bravo,
right.
If he's saying like, all right, everybody needs to be on the same page here, and there's some kind of uniformity where everybody's teaching the same techniques, and if you go to a different school and you're seeing that over and over and over, like
you know what to expect. You walk into 10 Planet, it's G this week. Okay, so we're all doing. You already know the warm ups. You already know what's going to happen when you walk into that 10 Planet.
Yeah, you know what to expect.
There's no like, I don't know what this is going on.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice.
Like the Gladwell book. You get to that kind of repetition in that 10,000 hours, hopefully sooner than later. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's nice to see these different schools doing it. Differently. That's cool.
So where do you get is TK short for something? That's just the best name out. TK Oates.
I know.
What's up?
It's short
a
for
fucking
something,
badass name.
Yeah. No, it's it's a family name. I'm the third.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, so
that just makes it even cooler.
Yeah, right?
TK Oates the third.
So my dad was also, he was TK Oates the second. Okay. Yeah, but it's Theodore, and my middle name is Kenzel, and then last name is Oates. Yeah, okay. So instead of Theodore, I was just always been TK.
Right.
Nice. And except for like the first day of school when some like teachers trying to be funny, like Theodore Kenzel Oates.
Right. You're like, it's TK, bitch.
Like, you always have to raise my hand. Like, it's TK. Please call me TK.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you sign it TK?
Even
TK?
when I like cash a check, I just sign TK. When I scan the credit card, TK.
You got any kids?
Yeah, we got a 5-year-old daughter.
Okay. Is like if you go for a son, is it going to be TK the fourth?
Hopefully, yeah.
Right?
I don't know if I do the Theodore or Kenzel. I maybe change the T, whatever the T and the K means. Okay. I mean, something different. But just start
Thor killer.
Yeah, total killer.
So is your daughter in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I got her. It's funny because I've like if you look up on YouTube, there's a couple like tutorials, and she's in them from like 18 months. So yeah,
she had no choice at that time.
Yeah, she had no choice. She didn't know she was doing jiu-jitsu, but she's interested in it. I think she sees like me going to jiu-jitsu, and she's interested in. I primarily do gi, and I got her a blue gi. Nick Mitria made her like a little subculture gi.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, I got her a blue gi, and I was like, cool. She's gonna be really excited to have a gi, and we're gonna do jiu-jitsu and all this. And then
I want to do no gi, Dad.
well, that's what I thought. So she's like, I don't like the gi, and I'm like, oh man, she's gonna be a no gi chick. That sucks. But then my wife found out that it's not that it's gi or no gi. It's that she wants a pink gi, not a blue gi. So we got a pink gi off Amazon, and now we're good.
Good to go. That's it. She's a woman, all right.
Yeah.
She's gotta have the pink gi.
Yeah. So and anyway, it's now that we're up north and 5 minutes away from New Breed, Valko didn't have a kids program, so New Breed has a kids program. So I'm really, hopefully, we just moved a couple weeks ago, so hopefully we'll get settled soon at some point and start taking her to the kids class.
Yeah,
because she's always talking about it. It's weird. It'll be weird to not be. I'm the only one she spars with or trains with, so it'll be weird to like have her in a class with other kids that are like trying to hurt her.
Right.
But at the same time, it'll be the greatest day of my life when the teacher has to sit me down and be like, hey, I gotta talk to you, Mr. Oates. I'm like, what? Like, there's some guys and I don't know, they weren't being nice to your daughter, and your daughter kicked their ass. You can't just have her doing that and be like, good job, Luce.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Like, you see those videos like on YouTube, like the girls and the, like beating up a bunch of guys in the park or,
So,
that's real.
There was a video going around, like,
there's a couple.
Yeah, 16-year-old girl, like, repeatedly just tapping out dudes, like, in a line.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
That's awesome.
Man. Valko's got a lot of big guys at his gym, right?
Yeah, my goal at Valko's would be to get everybody under 200 pounds, but that'll never happen.
Right.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm 185 pounds, and I'm right in the middle. So it's kind of interesting because I'd say half the guys are just a lot. Some of them are a lot bigger than me, and then you get guys that are 130, 140 pounds, but.
We need to go to that open mat. I haven't been. That's supposed to be one of the best open mats around.
That's what we heard.
Yeah, they have a huge turnout for open mat. People come in. Tutaj comes down sometimes. From here and
Tutai.
That's
right. Yeah.
Sorry, John.
No, everybody makes the same mistake, but we're
it.
trying to get it out there into the community. John Tutai.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, people come from all around and they come down there, and Jay's really good about that. He makes it a welcoming atmosphere, and I've gone to a lot of different schools to train. Whenever I travel, I always look up different schools, and for the most part, they're pretty welcoming and pretty good. But I've definitely been to training environments where like I felt like I was in a street fight. I was like, man, what did I just get myself into? Yeah, like not a lot, but a couple times.
Yeah. At black belt.
No, this was when I was like blue or purple.
Okay.
Like I always just whenever I traveled, I always look up schools and try to train some different places. And I remember a couple times I got in there and I was like sparring with some guy. I was like, when is this going to end? Because if this guy gets me in a choke or an arm bar, I feel like he's going to choke me unconscious, or like break my arm. So I'm like, a little bit more cautious now. Like if I go travel someplace, I don't want to go into a school without a recommendation.
People respect the black belt.
I think so.
I think they go harder because you're a black belt. I think it's the opposite. I think people are kind of like feel out of black belt. They're like, I don't know. I'm a little more cautious when I go against a black because I know any part of my body that gets near him, he's going to tap out. So I'm really like, it's like barely touch. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that yet. Let me see what you're doing.
Like radioactive.
Right. I'm like, where do I put my hand? Because you're going to fuck me up somehow. I know something I'm going to do. It's like when I rolled against Eddie Cummings, like I put my hand down like multiple times and he kept fucking armbarring me. I'm like I just touched his like side to pass. Armbar. I'm like, what in the fuck? Everywhere I went.
Yeah.
He's like, then he showed me, what he was doing. I'm like, and I still use that technique to this day. But, I kind of feel like, but I don't know. What's your experience with people who roll with you?
I think it depends on the person. So I think there's some people that the higher the belt, the bigger the target you have. And they're like, all right, cool. There's a guy he's if there's a purple or a brown belt and, if you're a purple or a brown belt and you get a guy that's a blue belt, there's like the higher the rank is, the bigger the target. So they're like, oh, cool. if I tap this brown belt out, then I'm like a brown belt, right?
I love that mentality.
Yeah.
So
just you thinking that I'm demoting you to blue.
so there's that
white blue.
Yeah, there's that mentality. So they're like, and then you get some other guys that, at black belt, you're training with them, and you're like, wow, this brown or this purple belt's really good. Like I'm legitimately worried about him, but he doesn't know that.
Right.
he's like worried about you being a black belt.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
So you have two kind of opposite sides of the spectrum, or two different dynamics there, where some guys they look at you as a target, a goal. And
it's like when you come across a bear and people try to give you the like, oh, they're just as scared of you as you are them. It's like, oh, really? Because the thing charged at me and fucking tore my head off. You know what I mean? The bear would be the black belt in the scenario.
Yeah. So it probably just depends on the person. I mean, even in your own academy, you have those people that are like, oh man, I'm gonna I didn't get tapped out by the black belt today, or like I've even had people say to me, oh man, you only tapped me out like once or twice. Like I'm doing much better. And I'm like, that's not my goal, man. My goal is like, so Taka, that guy from Japan, like when I got my blue belt shortly after that, he made an interesting statement. And it always resonated with me. And he said, you want to be the guy, even though we talked about earlier, this is a team, individual sport when you go on the mat, it's still a team sport. And he said, you want to be the guy in the room that everybody wants to roll with. Because if you're not that guy, then your training partners are limited. If you're the guy that's like headhunting and try out to like win all the time and not a fun guy to roll with, you miss a huge amount of opportunities of people to roll with.
Right. So
you want to be that guy that like everybody's, hey, can I roll? Like everybody's like lining up. Like I want to roll with this guy, Right. And, it's something that I've always like held closer to me. And, you don't want to be the guy that like just makes somebody feel like shit. I didn't like that when I was earlier on in my career.
Right.
And you don't really learn anything from it. So if you're just beating somebody up and you're tapping them out like 10 times, like are you really getting better from that? Mm-hmm. And is that guy who you're sparring with becoming a better, is he getting better at jiu-jitsu, or is he just like, man, this sucks. Right. To go back to the point, like that guy who's like, oh yeah, I only tapped me out twice and you're a black belt, I'm doing pretty good. Maybe that's true. Maybe I did try to tap him out more, but maybe it's the case that I didn't want to be a dick,
right?
Or I
you're working on something specific,
or I just want to roll around in different positions. I don't want to like sit in. So when I teach, one of the things I like to do instead of doing a traditional warm up is I like to do flow roll rounds. So just do 2 minutes. With 15 seconds rest, and you just warm up by flow rolling. So you're just going position. And some people don't grasp that concept. Like some people, I look over and I see them like hunkering down in side control, like just holding this dude, or like trying for a choke and they're not getting it. And they're just like that one dimensional attitude where they're like looking for the choke and holding on to it. I'm like, how many times do I need to make this announcement to you guys that this is like a flow roll means going position to position. And this is what you want to, in my opinion, like that's what you want to get to. That's the fun part of jiu-jitsu. Like that match that I was talking about with when I was a purple belt, all the different positions you get in and like moving from one to the other. And I think the other thing is when you're doing jiu-jitsu, it's like one of the only times in life that you're totally living in the moment, because you can't think of anything else. Like if your mind wanders, then something bad's going to happen to you. So like all these other things, if you go to the gym, if you go run or swim or, lift weights, your mind has the opportunity to like think about whatever else is going on in your life. But when you're doing jiu-jitsu, like you're truly, in my opinion, just living in the moment.
Yeah,
and so when you're
completely unplugged.
Yeah. And so when you're flow rolling, you're going position, you're thinking about that, and you're not like, but when you're like hunkered down in side control or holding somebody in your guard, like that's not fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Or when you get mounted and the guy won't get off you, he just sits on mount for like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. Like try the can opener or something.
Fucking Paul.
What?
Fucking asshole.
You need to work on your mount escapes, bro.
Fucking guy. You apologized. Let's just.
I did, because I realized that is not a fun role.
No, it was not fun.
Yeah.
It sucked.
You got Worlds coming up, playa. I'm not taking it easy on you. You want to get out of there? Get out of there, bro.
I was wearing gi pants, wasn't I? I was wearing gi pants.
It was the friction.
It was the
that did
friction.
it? Okay.
Well, yeah, because I'm wearing gi pants and we're doing no gi.
So basically,
so
what you're saying
difficult.
to me is you need to be lubed up in order to escape.
I'm saying with you on top, mount with gi pants. Yeah, I can't get out. There's too much friction. I literally cannot bump you up enough.
Right. Hang on, Paul. Let me put my wetsuit on and fucking spray baby oil all over it. Okay, now let's roll.
Okay, let's roll. Yeah, exactly what
Gi
I'm
versus
saying.
no gi.
Oh man.
Right.
But okay, let's move on, Paul.
Okay.
I'm
I just
over
want to, just so the audience knows, that was not a flow roll that we were
No,
in.
we were not doing a flow roll.
Thank
No,
you.
that was a
Okay,
real roll.
I'm not that guy who like
No, you're
holds
not
side
that guy.
control in a flow roll.
It's just like one of those setup scenarios that we're talking about. Like, hey, just go with him. We'll just go light. You know, just,
Yeah, we're just going late today.
like sit back into a loose butterfly guard, and the guy like cartwheel passes over you and like smashes your face into that.
Yeah, right?
Oh man, that's good. So, fight to win. You had a pretty cool match.
You got fight of the night one of your times, right?
I got the first one. I got fight of the night, and then the second one I got submission of the night. So yeah, so I was
You had some pretty good showings.
I was happy. I mean, the fight of the night, it was a split decision. I lost, so I was in IBJJF rules.
Yeah.
Right.
I was disappointed because I think I clearly would have won, but
But if you're going to lose, you want to lose a split decision and you want to get fight of the night.
yeah, so that was cool.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, but that was the one that all the firefighters were at, so I had to hear about that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I had to hear like. But I mean, I think all those guys were like, "Hey, that was a good fight."
Yeah,
so,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and and then the last one was submission of the night, and that was a fun match for me. And it was nice to have a good match and good showing and stuff after.
Do you know who he was? And
No, I didn't. So some people said we used to train together at Carlson's, but I don't remember training with him.
what was his name?
Sebastian Solupski.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, like John Two Touch. But no, so Seth gave me a list of like a half dozen people. Like, hey, who do you want to match up against? And I looked in. He was actually one of the guys that he was pretty much the only guy I hadn't trained with and didn't know. So I was like, oh, that'll be cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But on the same side, it was like I didn't know how I'd match up against him. I didn't know his style. I didn't know anything about him, so I didn't really know how to train.
Did you do any research on him or no? Is this
I
one of
mean,
your things?
Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's good to know what you're getting yourself into, and like I said, everything you can find online. But at the same time, like I've had matches before the internet was as prevalent as it is, and guys that I think if I looked up and saw who they were or their credentials, I would have psyched myself out,
Right.
and I would have been like, oh man, and then at blue or purple, they're like, oh man, that guy was supposed to win the whole bracket, and like that was like the hardest guy in the bracket, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't know that,
Right.
They're like, all right, after that guy, you're good. I've totally mixed feelings about it. And there's been tournaments where I've gone to and I've been outclassed and I've won, and then there's tournaments that I've gone to and there's guys that I feel like I've lost to that I could beat 9 out of 10 times. So that's a hard one to say. But I usually fall victim to going online and looking at whoever it is.
So when they come into town, you're probably gonna be always on the card, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as I'm healthy and
Right.
I don't see competitions like it's kind of like why I do jiu-jitsu because I love it, but then when if I have the opportunity to do a fight to win or to do a IBJJF tournament and I pass it up, I feel like I'm not doing myself and the team and jiu-jitsu justice. When I was younger, I liked to compete a lot more. I think when I was like a year before I went to Japan, I was in the gym and I dislocated my elbow, like my right elbow. It's like I was going to hip toss a guy like and I fished my arm under, and the guy turned out like a wrestling turnout, and it just turned out on the bone, and my arm just like my elbow popped out this way, and it was sticking out like the wrong way. And I was wearing the gi, and I was like, oh man, I was like, stop. It was a Friday night, like 8:00. We're at the gym, and I was like, dude, stop. You broke my arm. And before that, I was like, every competition I could go to, I wanted to go to, but there weren't a lot of competitions. So you had to like seek them out a little bit more. Now there's a competition you could go like every weekend. And I think that like scared me off a little bit because I realized how important my health is, and I realized how important jiu-jitsu is to me because I've never been like so depressed in my life. Right. So I was like, oh dude, stop. Like you broke my arm. And he's like 250 pound, like 6'2" dude. And I was like, he was like, no, dude. He's like, I didn't break your arm. I was like, yeah. He kept trying to wrestle with me. And like I pulled my gi down, my elbow's like sticking out the wrong way. He's like, oh dude, I broke your arm. I'm like, I told you. Wow. And I was like, I had just moved. I hadn't been in Chicago that long, so I didn't know Chicago or anything. And I was like, where's the I don't even know where the hospital is, you know? So we ended up going to like sit in the ER for like 3 hours with my elbow sticking out the wrong way before somebody came in, like gave me a muscle relaxer, morphine, and like reset it, you know? And then I was like in the movies, you see these guys like they dislocate something and they pop it back in. And they're like, all right, cool. Yeah. Like and they keep fighting.
They bite down on their belt.
That's
so their buddy comes
totally
over.
real.
Yeah, that's not true at all. So I was supposed to go do a competition the following weekend. I was like, oh, cool. They'll just go pop it back in. I'll go compete next weekend. Yeah. Well, the movies, they don't show you like all the inflammation and like the swelling and like your arm freezing up and like all the bruising that happens from the like the tendons and the ligaments inside your arm getting torn up. Like they don't show you any of that stuff. So anyway, it was like probably 4 months before I could go start training again, like light. And then probably 8 or 9 months before I could like really felt like I was like totally like had the like range of motion. It took me like almost like 40, like a month, 2 months to be able to touch my shoulder and get like full extension. And so after that, I was like, whoa, I'm not invincible. I mean, like I can actually get hurt. So it scared me off from competition a little bit. And then I think just over time, like competing a little bit more, and then I think realizing that pretty much most of the times that I get hurt, it's with a newer guy that doesn't know what he's doing. It's not in a competition with a guy that's like that knows what he's doing. Right. You know. So.
Do you ever get concerned about like work, or does any of the bosses or anyone at the department be like, hey, like you have a very physical job, like you can't be coming in here with a bum knee or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's always a concern. Yeah. Because I love my job and I would never want to jeopardize that. But it's like a interesting balance because I love jiu-jitsu and I would never not want to do jiu-jitsu. Right. So,
I have the same issue. I mean, I'm an electrician, so I make my money with my body. You know, like I got to be able to jump up and down ladders, jump on scissor lifts, put my hands over my head, you know, fucking pull cable, all that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just kind of, I'm like kind of eventually I'm going to get hurt, you know. I haven't had anything that stopped me from going into work yet. You know, I had that bum knee for a while that did make work difficult, but I still made it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is, so yeah, I could go to jiu-jitsu and get hurt, but I could also go to work and get hurt there. Right. And then I would be mad at myself that I didn't do jiu-jitsu as much as I could have, you know? Right. So
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, anything could happen. So it's, I guess you just gotta, weigh what's important to you.
I mean, I don't really think about it anymore.
Yeah.
About,
I mean, Zito, if you break a finger on your left hand, you could always type with your right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I'm okay. Although I did have my eye, I just got my eye injured. I got hit. It wasn't even like a significant hit. And I don't even remember where it was exactly. I knew it was somewhere on the side of my head or something. But it was so insignificant that I remember wincing, but that's about it. I still don't know where it was at. Afterwards, that night, I have like this floater, this black floating thing in my eye.
Yeah, I've had one of those for like 3 months.
Yeah.
It's weird because you think there's a fly
you think
or
there's
something
a fly, right?
out of the corner. Like,
and then this flashes a light in the top left. So I went to an optometrist and she told me, she's like, everything's good. You're fine. It's normal. It's going to happen. You got hit or whatever. It'll go in 3 or 4 months. I'm like, okay, great. So I had to get a second opinion. So I saw an ophthalmologist just to be on the safe side. And she said the exact same thing. So, and she gave me a pamphlet. She's like, "This is the most common thing." I'm like, "Really? I'm fucking 42. I've never heard of this, seen this. It's not that common to me." You know,
so she, like, you asked her, like, "Can I train?" or whatever.
Yeah, she said it's totally.
She's like, "Yeah, you could train." You're like walking out the door,
exactly.
and she's explaining everything else.
Right. Like, can I train? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. The only sentence I need to hear come out of your mouth is yes, you can train.
Right.
The rest of it is just in one ear and out the other.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't even know what it's called. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, like, so when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I was working the office job. Some of the guys would say, like, "Oh, you know, when you get to be my age, you won't have time, or you won't want to do that." I'm like, no, I don't know if I agree with you. You know, like, they're like, "Oh, and I was like, I don't, I'm gonna. It's the same thing. Like when I was younger and I had a girlfriend, like I would go to jiu-jitsu like Saturday and Sunday morning, and I would spend a couple hours there. I just train, and when I would come home, I was gassed. Like all I wanted to do was lay around because I was tired, and they would give me a hard time. Like, "Oh, what you jiu-jitsu gets all your good stuff. They get all your good energy, and then when you come home, you got nothing left. Like you don't want to go out with me or do anything." I'm like, jiu-jitsu was here before you came along, and with that attitude, jiu-jitsu's gonna be like after you're gone. So, and then when I met my wife, so we met at Carlson Gracie Academy. They have like the second floor where it used to be at FFC. Jiu-jitsu was on one side. There's like a glass wall, and she's like a professional dancer, so she would rehearse with the dance troupe she was working for on the other side of the glass wall. So we'd always like check the girls out. I never thought that they were actually checking us out. I thought, they just thought we were a bunch of like sweaty meatheads, Right. And then when she understood, like, cause she loved to dance, when she understood how much I love jiu-jitsu and how important it is, I was like, "Oh, whoa, this is totally different from, anything I experienced, like, with past girls that I dated. It's like, this might be something to like hang on to." So yeah.
Interesting.
So now I hear him like,
does she still dance?
No. So she opened a fitness studio up north at Highland Park. She owns it's called Bar Method.
Oh, okay.
So
that's where they use like the bars, right?
Like the ballet bars. Yeah. And it's a lot of like isometric.
Nice.
This is my kind of take on it because I've only taken a half dozen classes and she kicks my ass every time.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to screw this up, but it's based on, dance and Pilates and yoga, I would say combined. And it's a lot of like isometric, like lightweight, like I'll grab like a 3-pound weight or a 5-pound weight. And like you see all these guys like lifting these heavy weights, and you'll do like an isometric hold or like small motions for 30 or 60 seconds. And you feel like a good, burn.
Right.
And, I would recommend it. Like they talk about how good yoga is for jiu-jitsu. I would say like Bar Method and that kind of thing would be, advantageous. I just need to find the time to do it.
Bruce Lee was big on isometrics. I think he even did ballet.
Yeah.
Like for his stretch, for his kicks and stuff like that.
For sure.
Yeah. So she doesn't dance professionally anymore, but she runs a studio up in Highland Park.
Nice.
Bar Method Highland Park. Give her a little plug.
Cool.
Oh, is that Team Bar? Their shirt?
Yeah, that's her.
That's cool.
Product placement.
I was trying to figure out what is Team Bar.
Honey, you got the podcast tonight, right? Here, I'll lay out some clothes for you.
Give you a T-shirt. Yeah.
That's clever.
But yeah, no. So that's what she does now. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So social media, where you at?
TK and then last name Oates, Oates.
Oates.
On Facebook. So
Facebook. So you're next. Are you doing No-Gi Worlds?
No, I don't have anything. I was thinking about maybe doing Cincinnati next weekend, but I'm not sure. I don't have anything in plans right now. Other than that was the only thing. I did 2 fight to wins this year, and I haven't done an IBJJF, and I feel like kind of guilty about not doing one. So
at least do the Chicago Open.
Yeah, I feel like I should get one before the end of the year.
Oh, before the end of the year?
Yeah. That's my last opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
And then people can see you at you train at, or you teach at Valko's?
Yeah, so that's I just moved like 2 weeks ago. So okay. I used to teach Sundays at Valko's when I wasn't working, but I still train at Valko's sometime, but it's kind of
it's gonna be hard to get in this city now.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's a half an hour drive, but when I have the choice to drive 5 minutes up to New Breed versus like going a half an hour, 45 minutes to Valko and back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll always be part of Valko's. I was his first black belt. So that was, I mean, that was pretty cool. And, yeah, he's always been good to me, but, yeah, like I said, I just split my time between both places, and I wish it, like it would, that whole thing about like one team. I wish we could all be like one team. So that'll be an interesting dynamic because Mark Vivas and I are in the same weight class. And
you guys are?
Yeah, I'm still under Valko, but I'm training at his gym a lot. So we got to figure something out. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll definitely catch you at open mat for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Awesome, man. We appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Sure.
All right.
Bye.
All right, take care.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. For more information about Grappler Union Podcast, you could visit us at our website at grapplerunion.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Grappler Union. Please like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Say what?
Be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to all that shit. You got to do another take, right?
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Biotropic Labs. Biotropic Labs is a company that makes its own natural and healthy custom formulated sports supplements. I tried them out. Paul has also tried them. We both like how we feel on them. It dramatically and positively improved our performance, allowing us to train and work out at a much higher level and with much more endurance. His products are built around a blood support and oxygen delivery. To learn more about their products, please visit them on the web at biotropiclabs.com. At checkout, use the promo code UNION10 to receive 10% off your order. Your order is also backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, zero-risk purchase. Again, that's biotropiclabs.com. Use the promo code UNION10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
This episode of the Grappler Union Podcast is brought to you by BJJTs. Go to bjjts.com, enter the promo code Grappler Union, and save 10% off all your jiu-jitsu apparel. Go to bjjts.com today.
This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Strychnine Jiu-Jitsu, makers of vintage-inspired tees, hoodies, and rash guards. Go to strychnine.co, that's STRYCH9.co, and use the promo code UNION at checkout to receive 20% off your online order.